What I like to talk about most here on this channel is fear. Fear is what I have observed to be at the fore of my journey back to a deeper, more fulfilling connection with my true self. And with the intention of understanding and experiencing life more holistically, again and again, I have found myself coming back to this idea of fear as the impetus that either propels us into expansion or gets in the way and holds us back. Now, it is going to get in the way regardless, but it is how we greet it and work with it that determines whether we move forward or shrink back. Now, the more I observed in my own life, the more I came to understand that if I wanted to live the life I felt called to live, then I would have to get really friendly with my fear. I would have to learn as much about it as I could. Where it came from, why it was here, what it wanted. I want to know my fear as though it were a family member, someone that I see and interact with on a regular basis. Because fear is a part of us all. There is a spectrum of emotions that we as humans can experience in this life. And at this extreme far end over here is fear. It is the lowest frequency of all the possible emotions that we can experience. And it has this way of informing almost all the other emotions that hang out on this half of the spectrum. Over here, of course, at the other extreme end, we have love. And so the quality of our interactions with fear and of our relationship with our fear affects in no small way the quality of our lives. Think about it. If you are regularly making decisions from a place of fear, unconsciously or otherwise, how fulfilling do you think your life is going to be? So let's jump in and examine our fears from all angles. The historical, the cultural, the spiritual, the emotional, the collective, the personal, the ancestral. Let's look at our indoctrinations, our religions, our schooling, our parenting, and beyond. Because there is something of fear within all of it. And that's not a bad thing. A lot of people think of fear as something necessarily negative. But what fear actually is an invitation for integration. An innate indicator of the areas in our lives that the universe is kindly nudging us to lean into, to get curious about, and be more present with. The more we learn to love our fear and to drop into compassion and presence with it whenever it shows up, the more fluidly we can navigate our lives. And I don't like to use the word overcome because this insinuates a battle, and I don't approach interacting with fear as a fight of any kind. And I also don't see fear as something that we will ever be completely beyond, or that we will ever completely vanquish, at least not at this current level of reality. And our fear is a guide to inner movement. We move through fear as opposed to overcoming it, and as a result, we grow. Then at some point, fear shows up again, possibly wearing a different mask. We invite it in, we get curious, we consciously engage with it, and we move through again and again and again. This is that pattern that I mentioned earlier that I can't help but observing in myself and all around me. And it has brought me to the belief that one of the ways in which we can lead truly fulfilling lives is by getting really good at feeling our fear instead of being afraid of being afraid. Did you know that the very word afraid comes from the Latin exfidare, which means literally to take out of peace. So let's love our fear so that we can have peace in our lives. Because the more peaceful we become, the less dense we become, our vibratory rate increases, and as we elevate our vibration, we pull back the veils and we're able to connect more deeply. And connection, well, that will lead you anywhere you choose to go. There are infinite ways of connecting A with B, and the fractal nature of the universe makes it so that wherever you choose to begin, you will find that eventually everything is connected. Everything in some way is linked to everything else. The magic is in the choosing. You see, you are a fractal of the infinite having a human experience. You are the universe or creative source experiencing itself as a human for a little while, but not just as any human, as you. Only the unique combination of genetics, ancestry, upbringing, talents, interests that combine to make you an individual can have the experiences that you have had, that you will have, and that you're currently having right now. How amazing is that? Nobody else, even if they were put in the exact same time, place, and situation, would experience it in the unique way that you do. This is one of the ways in which the universe itself expands and comes to know itself better. Nobody else will make the same choices for the same reasons, go on the same adventures, and learn the same lessons in the same way that you will, because you are unique in all the world. And that is precisely why you are here, not to play small, obey, or fit into a box. You are here to have the experiences that your soul is calling you to have. Trust in that calling, because the universe will never experience itself as you again. Only you hold the unique potential that you hold. And if you don't bring it into the world, it's lost. When we follow our calling, in spite of our fear, we are trusting in our own divinity, in the fractal of God that we are. We honor and serve God, the universe, source, whatever you prefer to call it, when we follow that call. If you refuse the call, however, as Joseph Campbell once said, then you're somebody else's servant. The most appropriate way in which to worship God is by listening to and acting upon your soul's calling. Not coming up with 1,000 selfless, righteous, or timid excuses as to why you cannot or why you shouldn't. Put yourself first. Try it. Say, I put myself first. And keep saying it every day until it no longer feels so uncomfortable and so unnatural. The most selfless thing we can do as humans upon the earth today is to put ourselves first. As backwards as it sounds, as uncomfortable as it feels, and as much as it seems to go against everything we were ever taught, that is exactly the point. We have been indoctrinated into a culture of selflessness by design. The importance we place on this type of humility keeps us small and starving. After all, it's hard to be courageous and humble at the same time. At some point, you have to be bold. You have to be reckless in your choosing if you are going to follow your truth. One psychotically imaginative thing we humans often do is come up with myriad reasons why we cannot pursue our dreams. And the reasons we create as to why we shouldn't try seem to protect us, but what they really do is imprison us. None of us are given visions for our lives that we cannot fulfill. If we didn't have the ability to fulfill our authentic desires, then we wouldn't have those desires to begin with. The psychosis of fear is that when we are not aware that the fear is present, it asserts that we should be happy with what we have. Now, I am not knocking gratitude. Gratitude is so important. But what we don't want to lose sight of here is that we did not take birth into this life to reach a preordained destination and then stand still until we die. That is a quick road to entropy. So yes, be grateful for where you are and for what you have, but also be grateful for your faculty of imagination and curiosity and your passion and inspiration and drive to create. And remember that gratitude involves respect. To be grateful for something is to respect it. And to respect something is to allow for it to be, to flow and function naturally. Allow your imagination, your curiosity, and your passion to flow and lead you to the outer edges of what you ever thought possible. That is why they exist. When we meet our fears face to face with courage, compassion, respect, and curiosity, we move through life on a spiral, ever upward. When we allow fear to control our choices, life becomes a loop. We get stuck on repeat. Choosing from a place of fear leads us into a future that is nothing but a continuation of the past. These are the choices that destroy dreams and possibilities. So don't be afraid of feeling afraid. Greet your fear with kindness, sit with it in compassionate curiosity, and allow it to guide you to those parts of yourself that need healing presence. And then step through to the other side, into a more expanded version of yourself. Then do that again and again and again, presencing your fear all the way to a more fulfilled life. Thank you for watching, with so much love.